Coming up on No Pulp, two big-name programs squared off and the results spurred intense overreactions.
And speaking of big names, I'll be going head-to-head with Max Gifford and the Juicer. Should be a battle.
Plus, we highlight a handful of Group of 5 teams, reveal our plays of the week, and educate the masses with our final words. All that and more, No Pulp, and it starts right now.
Kansas State has been on fire this year.
Missouri is one of the most fraudulent teams in college basketball.
And it was fired.
They're not going to fire him. He's the best player in program history.
Side to Lawrence for the win. Yes, he got it.
She is the Shohei Ohtani of college softball.
This is a team that's potentially going to be a top 10 team in the country.
How you feeling?
I'm excited to win the Juicer.
LSU has captured its very first national championship.
Welcome into the CitrusTV studio alongside Caleb Nice. I'm Austin Barach. Caleb, let's not waste any time and kick off things with the headlines. We begin with the biggest game of the weekend. Then number 11 Texas went into Bryant-Denny Stadium and knocked off then number 3 Alabama, 34-24. Caleb, the Longhorns were awesome. Quinn Ewers with money. UT deserved to win. But I know everyone wants to say the 3 special words. Texas is back. But at the end of the broadcast on ESPN, play-by-play commentator Chris Fowler, with all of his wisdom, declared, quote, Texas is 2-0. I'm with Fowler, Caleb. I'm not ready to say that Texas is back, but I do believe that Sarkisian squad is a legit playoff contender. Where are you at right now with this Texas team?
Yeah, I don't know if I'm ready to say Texas is back, but I might be ready to say Alabama is fraudulent.
Wow.
Potentially. Look, this was a different loss than we're used to seeing for Alabama. It was their first double-digit home loss since 2004, the first time under Nick Saban. But normally Alabama home losses, you see them with the kick six a couple years ago with Auburn, or even last year they lost to Tennessee on a last-minute field goal. There was no special play here, right, Austin. It was just Texas imposing itself on Alabama all game. Texas wasn't perfect. It normally takes perfection to beat Alabama. Texas was by no means perfect, but down the stretch, they didn't have to be to beat Alabama.
Ewers was awesome. One of my favorite stats in all sports, get this, the teams that have won at Alabama under Nick Saban since 2008, only 6 teams. Auburn with Cam Newton in 2010, LSU in 2011 in that infamous 9-6 game, Johnny Football in 2012 with A&M, Chad Kelly in Ole Miss in 2015, Joe Burrow and LSU in 2019, and now Ewers and Texas this year. You're right, this felt different. I don't know if I'm ready to say that this is the beginning of the end for Alabama. I think they're still probably the little brother to Georgia in the SEC, but I was really impressed with Texas and how decisive they won this game.
Yeah, I think the Longhorns proved that they're a real college football playoff contender in this one. They were really dominant on both sides of the ball, and that's what it takes to be a top dog and go to the college football playoff. But we're going to keep it in the SEC now. Ole Miss handled Tulane 37-20 New Orleans. Austin, might we be sleeping on Ole Miss when it comes to conference hierarchy down south?
I don't think we are. I think Ole Miss is always a good team, but not a great team. They have good talent, not elite talent. Look, I like Lane Kiffin a lot. I think the moxie of Jackson Dart is incredible. I mean, on 4th and 4, game on the line, just under 5 minutes to play, up 3. He eludes the pass rush and delivers a touchdown. That's great stuff. I've always loved the running style of Quinshon Judkins, but they're not being slept on. They're firmly still behind Bama and LSU in the SEC West. They're a middle-of-the-pack SEC team. That's where I see them right now.
The issue was the O-line was brutal in that first half for the Rebels. Jackson Dart was sacked 4 times. Tulane 8 tackles for losses in that first half. Here's the thing, ranked or not, the Rebels are going to have to face defensive fronts that are better than Tulane this season. Yeah. That level of play from offensive line was rough in the first half. What's going to happen when they go against Alabama in a few weeks or Georgia in mid-November?
It'll be bad. As for Tulane, look, one of the most predictable things in all of sports, a mid-major team after an amazing season will come crashing back down to earth. They lost a bunch of guys to the NFL and guys who graduated. This Tulane team will still be good, but I'm not even sure if they're going to win the American.
They're still without their starting quarterback in that game too, right?
That's right. Michael Pratt missed that game. That's a big reason why they lost. But it doesn't excuse the fact that the Green Wave were outscored 30-3 to finish the game. Not a strong showing for Tulane. Switching gears to the Big Ten, though, specifically Ohio State. The Buckeyes are 2-0, but the vibes in Columbus right now are a lot lower than the vibes in Ann Arbor and State College. Ryan Day's team struggled in Week 1 at Indiana, and were tied at 7 this past week at one point against the Penguins of Youngstown State. They eventually pulled away, but Caleb, the Buckeyes don't seem to have an elite quarterback right now for what feels like the first time in forever. How concerned are you about OSU?
Yeah, look, here's the thing for me. Kyle McCord, I'm not sold on him. But I do think that the quarterback debate is over. People were talking about Devin Brown, Kyle McCord, especially after Kyle McCord struggled in that first week against Indiana. But here I really think he solidified himself as a definitive starter. He started the day with a 70-yard touchdown bomb to Marvin Harrison Jr., hooking up with his former high school teammate. He finished 14 of 20 with 258 yards and 3 touchdowns. But he's still not the kind of caliber of quarterback that we've seen Ohio State produce in the past couple of years.
Exactly. You think of J.T. Barrett, Justin Fields, C.J. Stroud. He's not those guys. It's unfortunate for him to have those kind of expectations in Columbus. But you're right. It seems like for this offense to click, Marvin Harrison Jr. has to put on that Superman cape all the time. I don't think they trust McCord, to your point, Caleb, to throw passes down the field. It's just bubble screens, quick flats, and deep shots to Harrison Jr. That's pretty much it right now. I don't trust that he'll go into a place like, say, Notre Dame next weekend and get the job done.
What's also not going to help this team is how much they struggle on third downs. Ohio State 7 for 24 on third downs. That's not great against anyone. But against Indiana and Youngstown State, you'd think you'd be doing a little bit better on third downs. They got Notre Dame, Penn State, and Michigan. You're struggling against third downs. How are you supposed to go in and beat those teams when you can't do that? The good news is they have been doing well on fourth down. So in 2 weeks, the Buckeyes will have their hands full with the road game to South Bend. Meanwhile, number 10 trounced NC State 45-24. Quarterback Sam Hartman threw for 286 yards and 4 touchdowns. Austin, is Notre Dame for real this year?
Caleb, I know you want me to say it. Yes, they are. Yes, they are. And a big reason why is your boy, Sam Hartman. He's legit. Look, he's the adult in the room. When you look at quarterbacks of teams past for the Irish, it's Ian Book, Jack Cohen, Drew Pine. Those guys are not what Sam Hartman is. He's more mature than those guys. He's frankly better than those guys. You mentioned, look at this score, 45-24 at NC State. There was a big weather delay as well. This is a classic trip-up spot for Notre Dame in years past, not this time. Sam Hartman on the year, 16 incompletions, 10 touchdown passes.
No interceptions.
Yes, he is so good. He's exactly what this Irish team needs.
Yeah, their offensive success right now ranks 10th nationally in the country. But it's not just a quarterback that's going to have to carry you to make it far this season and go to the college football playoff. They do have a top 10 defense, and Marcus Freeman looks much more comfortable now as head coach in his second season. We saw last year they had a loss to Marshall. He doesn't seem like he's going to lose to any low-tier teams this year. They've already handled Navy and Tennessee State. Marcus Freeman is legit. Sam Hartman is legit. And this Notre Dame team really has a shot to do damage. They got games against USC and a game against Ohio State coming up, we mentioned, in 2 weeks. They also take on Clemson. If they just win 2 of those 3 and go 11-1, I think they sneak into the college football playoff at the 4 spot.
Wow, that would be bold stuff out of South Bend. That's enough Sam Hartman talk for now. When we return, Max Gifford battles Caleb in the juicer to debate QBs and coaches. We'll be right back.
Las enfermedades mentales no siempre son visibles.
D-E-P-R-E.
Las enfermedades mentales no siempre son visibles.
D-E-P-R-E.
No se miden sobre una báscula.
¿Bipolar?
Identificar un problema de salud mental requiere diagnóstico y tratamiento profesionales.
¿Ansiedad?
Si usted o un ser querido tienen un problema de salud mental, busque ayuda. Para información confidencial y gratuita y remisión a tratamiento, llame al 1-800-662-4357. Visite samhsa.gov/ayuda.
Hay acciones cotidianas para ayudar a prevenir la propagación de enfermedades respiratorias. Lávese las manos. Evite el contacto cercano con las personas enfermas. Evite tocarse los ojos, la nariz y la boca. Quédese en casa cuando esté enfermo. Cúbrase al toser o estornudar. Limpie y desinfecte de manera frecuente los objetos que toca. Para obtener más información, visite cdc.gov/COVID-19. Este mensaje es gentileza de la National Association of Broadcasters y de esta estación.
Hey folks, welcome to The Wall and welcome to the most famed segment in all of television, The Juicer. Caleb Nice, Austin Barrett, and Max Gifford here. I'll ask Max and Caleb 4 questions, and whoever's argument I like better, I award the point to. Simple enough. Max, this is your Juicer debut. Caleb, it's been nearly 11 months since you last lost to Ian Unsworth here. Fellas, how are we feeling?
Well, now I'm not feeling great that you brought that up.
I have to.
I personally am honored to be. I think this is the tallest juicer cast that we've had in recent memory. Someone can fact check me on that, but I think I'd be correct when I say
We'd
that.
have to get
He's
the
kissing
No
up to
Pulp
the host.
sabermetrics on that. I like
Austin
it,
is a pretty tall drink of water, if you ask me. So.
Oh, that's too kind. Well, let's start off with the quarterback position. Which big-name quarterback has the most potential to lead his team to the national championship this year? Caleb, let's start with you.
Yeah, I guess my question is, why did we go to break? We were just talking about him. Sam Hartman's going to lead his team to the national championship. You step away from stats for a little bit. Sam is an experienced leader and player. Marcus Freeman, head coach at Notre Dame, said Sam has already won over the hearts of everybody in that locker room. Although he just transferred into the team from Wake Forest, he sees himself as a leader, and everyone else has bought into that. But, you know, to lead your team to a national championship, you do have to have the stats. And Sam does. 731 passing yards on the season, Max. 243 yards per game. 75% completion rate. 10 touchdowns. 0 interceptions. Notre Dame going to national championship. Sam Hartman taking them there.
All right, Caleb, I'm not here to deny that Sam Hartman is a good quarterback. I would never say that on a segment like this. He comes from Notre Dame. That's in Indiana. I love Indiana. In fact, I'm going to stay in the Hoosier State for my pick. And I mean, I guess he technically transferred out, but it all plays the same. Give me Michael Penix Jr. out of Washington. What can't you say about this kid? He is the best arm in college football right now. He can fling it, throw it wherever you want to any window or passer that you want. Penix was only sacked 5 times all last season. None of those were at home. He had over 4,600 passing yards, second in the nation, by the way. Right now, on arguably a top 3 offense in the country, his receiver core definitely the deepest in the country. If his offense maintains its efficiency that it does last season, along with a defense who's vastly improved, there's no reason MP Jr. is not raising that trophy come January.
Strong points. Max, you made the point about Penix Jr. being better. That's true, but the question was about which quarterback can lead his team to a national championship. Washington is not winning the national championship. Caleb gets the point right there. He's up 1-0. Now let's go to the downside of the QB position. A lot of quarterbacks, a lot of them have not been so good so far. So Max, which big-name QB is fraudulent?
It's J.J. McCarthy, without a doubt, from Michigan. I don't want you guys to give me any of this. Oh, he beat Ohio State. Oh, he made it to the college football playoff. If you ask me, J.J. McCarthy is a one-game wonder. Wow. What? Whoa. You lose to TCU and then beat a pushover Purdue team in the Big Ten championship? And who have you played right now? East Carolina and UNLV. That's been their opponent so far. He gets carried by an elite offensive line every single game, and he struggles unless he has a wide receiver way down the field. McCarthy may be good enough to beat some of the Big Ten opponents, but not on the national stage, especially with the competition in this year's field. So I'm saying J.J. McCarthy, the biggest fraud in college football.
I don't think you call someone who's taking their team to the college football playoff a fraud, but I guess we could do that. I'm going Cade Klubnik from Clemson. Fraud. Look, there was so much hype coming into Cade Klubnik this season. Seeing what he did last year filling in for DJ down in South Carolina. But was it a fluke? I think so. The Tigers an embarrassing loss in Week 1 to Duke. Had it not been for a fumble on a punt, I don't think Clemson even scores in that game. Klubnik posted a 27.8 QBR. That's just terrible. Then this weekend they blew out an FCS opponent in Charleston Southern. The first half of that game showed Duke was no fluke. At the half, 24-17. Klubnik at the center of the issues. He had a fumble and a pick 6 in that first half. Max, that's a former 5-star. I declare fraud.
Wow. Guys, I don't know what's up, but Max, you seem to be tanking this entire segment. We understand that McCarthy is a gamer against TCU in the college football playoff last year. He was awesome. Klubnik, a lot of question marks. He's not really done anything at the college level. Caleb goes up 2-0 right here. 2 more questions, so the tides can turn. Let's flip to the coaching spot. Which coach has helped his job security the most after 2 weeks? Caleb, back to you.
Yeah, I got Mike Norvell with Florida State and the Seminoles. This wasn't always a top 10 ranking in Rainbows like you've seen so far this season, and credit has to be given where credit's due, and that's Mike Norvell and where he's taken this program. The first season in 2020, he was 3-6. The next year, 2021, FSU in one of the worst spots ever, started 0-4 for the first time in 45 years. They lost to FCS Jacksonville State. Last year, FSU, first 10-win season since 2016. Moving on to this year, statement win against LSU in Week 1. They're now ranked 3rd in the nation, receiving 3 first-place votes. Mike Norvell turned this program around, and he deserves to stay.
Max, you need this to stay alive.
This is true. Caleb, I noticed you're wearing a nice watch right now. Do you mind telling me the time? I'm going to cut you off because it's prime time. Give me Deion Sanders of Colorado. You're talking about a guy that has turned over a Buffalo's roster completely. He's also taking a squad that went 1-11 last year. That's right, 1, Austin. They lost by an average of 29 points last year. First week, they beat the national championship runner-up in TCU. Then they go home, get a huge win in front of state neighboring rival in Nebraska. And keep in mind, Deion had 86 new players to deal with. That's right, 86. That's 70% of the roster gone. Name me one coach that can coach a team with 30% of its roster returning, but can go out and beat a storied program like TCU or Nebraska. Coach Prime has completely flipped college basketball on its head, and I'm here for it. Give me Coach Prime.
Caleb, I'm sorry, but I love this pick out of Max. How can you not pick Deion Sanders? He is Colorado. Imagine how dumb you'd have to be to fire Deion Sanders. Nobody cared about this Buffalo's program a year ago. You're right, 1-11. He's done a tremendous job there in Boulder. All right, this final question is worth 2 points. Which coach is the most on the hot seat after 2 weeks? Max?
Close your eyes, Clemson fans, because Dabo Swinney is on the hot seat. The Death Valley domination that we saw for 6 years straight in the college football playoff is no more under the Dabo regime. And any heavyweight era of Clemson football was completely buried in Duke last week.
Wow.
And when Duke stormed the field in a 28-7 beatdown of the alleged number 9 team in the nation. And the fact is, Duke didn't even play well that game. They made an array of mistakes and still won by 3 touchdowns. And then you fast forward to this next weekend against Charleston State. You look at a team that had a pick 6 at the beginning of the game, and then after that, Clemson, even with the win, dropped out of the top 25 for the first time in 2 years. So if I'm Clemson, I'm saying good day, Dabo Swinney.
Wow.
All right, Clemson fans, you can open your eyes now. Dabo's not going anywhere. Baylor fans, close your eyes. Dave Aranda is on the hot seat in the Big 12. Dave Aranda,
He has 2 losing seasons already. Did you know that?
Wouldn't you be on the hot seat with 2 losing seasons?
I thought you'd already been on the hot seat. Wouldn't you have been?
You're still on the hot seat because he's still there.
on it?
He's still there.
Right
and they've
now,
gone downhill because they won the Big 12 championship in 2021. Last year, a losing season, 6-7. This year, 0-2. Losses to Texas State week 1. Baylor 27.5-point favorites. How do you lose that game? They just lost to Utah. I'm not bashing on Utah. Utah's a good team. But they put up just 13 points. The Baylor Bears face Kansas State, Texas, and TCU this season. If you can't win home games like Texas State, you may just end up sitting at the bottom of the Big 12 standings. Dave Aranda, he needs to get some big wins to convince that Baylor program that they need to keep him around for a couple more years.
Fellas, I have to admit something. Before the show, Caleb pulled me aside and he revealed to me why he journeyed to London earlier this year. No, it was not to find himself emotionally. It was to beef up his knowledge about college football. Look, Baylor is winless right now. Winless, 0-2. The folks in Waco are fed up. They want change. Dabo Swinney, as much as I think he's corny, I mean, he wins the conference almost every year. At least he's in that championship game. The boosters there love that. Caleb gets the 2 points and wins the juicer 4-1. Max, it was a really strong effort out of you. It was very, very valiant.
I appreciate you, Austin.
Of course. All right, we've been discussing a bunch of big-name teams. After the break, Caleb and I show some loves to some Group of 5 teams. Stay with us.
Leaving hot coals improperly extinguished can cause a wildfire.
Hey guys, it's Smokey!
It looks as if Smokey is going to use the drown, stir, drown, and feel technique. After the first drown, a good start. Next, another drink. And finally, a close feel.
Is it cool? Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, Smokey, catch! Oh, my bad, Smokey.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Everybody has a dream. Mine was to see the ocean. And with a little help, I made it.
Welcome back into the Citrus TV studios. Caleb Nice and Austin Barach with you as No Pulp rolls on. Look, we've been talking about big dogs of college football all show. AB, you're a big dog. I'm a big dog, and I think it's time we spread the love to the smaller guys of the sport. We got to give some shout-outs to teams not playing in a Power 5 conference that could make some noise this season based off these first 2 weeks. Austin, who deserves the recognition first?
The first team that I thought of, Caleb, was SMU, SMU, as they call it, a future ACC school, of course. They're ranked 40th in ESPN's Power Knicks right now. That's the highest among all Group of 5 teams. They just lost at Oklahoma by 17 points. But, folks, don't let the final score fool you. That was a 3-point game in the fourth quarter. SMU actually outgained OU in that game. Quarterback Preston Stone is really underrated. He's a good player. He can make off-platform throws. He's unafraid to push the ball down the field. Caleb, I honestly would not be shocked if SMU rolls into Fort Worth next weekend and knocks off TCU. This is a good SMU team.
Yeah, TCU might have a little bit of a chip on their shoulder, though, coming off that Colorado loss in week 1. I'm going to go Fresno State Bulldogs. They deserve a little bit of love. Look, they just need a double overtime to knock off Eastern Washington, but a win is a win. A win is a win. Austin, I'll say it again. Look, the Bulldogs took down Power 5 opponent in Purdue their first week of the season, so they now sit at 2-0. The Dogs moved up to be the top-ranked Group of 5 team in this AP poll. Fresno State, they're not ranked, but they have the 30th most votes in the coaches poll, 36th most in the AP poll. This coming week, Fresno State, they travel to Arizona State this weekend. Where they're favorites. They're favorites against a Pac-12 team. We know how good the Pac-12 has been this season. If they keep winning, they could slip into the top 25. I did see a bowl projection for Fresno State to play Oregon in the Fiesta Bowl. Let's give them some love.
I don't know. That's a bad Purdue team, Caleb. I'm not so sold about the Bulldogs of Fresno State. But for my next team, I'm journeying to Memphis. It's the Tigers. I'm going to use the ESPN Power Knicks again. They're ranked 51st. That's really strong. And this team, I know they've played 2 bad opponents, but you can only play the teams on your schedule. And just like Syracuse, they dominated those 2 opponents. It's a team that's been lighting it up this season with quarterback Sept. He's been putting up some big-time numbers, but more importantly, defensively. 6 different Tigers have recorded at least 1 sack through 2 games. That tells me they got really impressive depth all around. Depth is what gets you through seasons. And speaking of seasons and schedules, there's an interesting schedule quirk here from Memphis that actually helps them out. They don't play another road game until October 21st, Caleb. They'll be racking up wins. I firmly expect this Memphis team to win double-digit games this season.
Yeah, it sounds like a good take. I'm going to stay in the Mountain West. I just had Fresno State. Now we're going to give some love to the Wyoming Cowboys. They beat Texas Tech in double overtime in week 1. Awesome. That was a huge win. Then they looked like they were suffering from a little bit of week 1 hangover against Portland State this past weekend, but they got the job done. Portland State kept things a little closer than I thought they would have. But through 2 games, the offense has looked drastically improved from the past years. Huge credit to the program as the defense is living up to that preseason hype in the early going. They got a tough matchup against Texas this weekend. Texas, 28-point favorites. But look, the conference looks ripe for the taking in the Mountain West. I think Wyoming could do it. I'm not saying Wyoming could beat Texas.
They're not.
Well, you never know. They beat one Texas team already this season. Longhorns might be on upset watch.
I don't see it happening at all, Caleb. I mean, Texas is too good. We called them a legitimate, college football playoff team.
Yeah, horns down. All right, look, when we come back, we got our plays of the week coming up, and me and Austin are also going to share our final words, so don't go anywhere. More No Pulp up next.
STEM is precise, no margin for error.
Dare to forget that. Dare to have fun with it. Get weird with it. Dare to send those old STEM theories flying past the neighbor's house into outer space. Dare to program something internet-breaking, record-breaking. Dare to blow their minds. Dare to learn the difference between sedimentary and metamorphic rock. Go find those rocks. Dare to keep daring. Dare to STEM. Check out She Can STEM to get started.
Wrapping up shop here on No Pulp. Caleb Nice, Austin Barach. There were plenty of spectacular plays in college football this weekend, but Caleb, we did our research. We looked everywhere. We scoured the entire internet and found the two very best plays. For mine, we journey all the way to Boulder, Colorado for one of the greatest two-point conversions that wasn't. All right, Caleb, you gotta watch this play carefully, because this was insane out of Shedeur Sanders. He takes a snap, look at the score, up 22. He goes out right and then says, "Number 3, get off of me, see ya." At the 16.5, launches across his body. That's not exactly a catch, doesn't matter. That was such a good play. I mean, Caleb, I was watching this live and I couldn't help but think, oh my goodness, Heisman moment? I know this day and age, there's so many guys who are in that Heisman conversation, but Sanders is so electric all the time. He brings a razzle-dazzle to college football every week. I think that was just a tremendous play out of him.
Those are Heisman plays. My top play features one of the most bizarre and wildest turnovers we might see this college football season. We got to go all the way down to Athens, Georgia. Ball State taking on the Bulldogs. Check out this play. Ball State quarterback Caden Simonza. He's going to throw the ball right off of his tight end's heel. And Chaz Chambliss, look at those hands. Not sure what's better, the name Chaz Chambliss or the reaction time it takes to pull something like this off. It's a kick pick. Look at that. Bounces right off the tight end's heels. He had no idea what was going on. Kind of looks like a Madden glitch when you watch it over and over. The way that ball just goes right down and pops back up. Crazy hands down there in Georgia. Well, it's time for our final word tonight. My final word is a letter of appreciation to Texas O-linemen. So here we go. Dear college football fans, when Quinn Ewers walked into the post-game press conference, there was hardly a spot on his all-white jersey. My man strolled in looking almost as fresh and clean as Austin over here. So please, let's give more credit to a team's O-line. In fact, Quinn himself praised his big men up front immediately. In his responses, his O-line did not give up a single sack in 38 pass attempts against a Bama D-line that is always producing NFL talent, allowing Ewers to throw for almost 350 yards. So once more I ask, we join Quinn in giving more praise to these giants in the trenches around the nation who are saving the world one big belly at a time. Sincerely, Caleb.
In the Big House on Saturday, number 2 Michigan beat UNLV 35-7. Wolverines quarterback J.J. McCarthy tossed for nearly 280 yards and 2 touchdowns. But the final score and McCarthy's overall performance was not the story. Before every game, the signal caller draws a smiley face on his hand. On Saturday, however, McCarthy wrote RK47 on a wristband that he wore. RK, the initials of former UNLV defensive lineman Ryan Keeler. The 47, Keeler's jersey number. In February, Ryan Keeler passed away from a heart condition. McCarthy and Keeler go all the way back to age 7, youth football. In high school, Keeler was McCarthy's left tackle. During the game on Saturday, the CBS broadcast showed a picture of the 47 written on the QB's left hand. On the very next play, from the UNLV 47-yard line, McCarthy hit receiver Roman Wilson in stride for a 47-yard touchdown. An unbelievable coincidence in the face of an unimaginable tragedy. After the game, McCarthy said, quote, "It was something you just can't make up." Caleb, really good stuff out of McCarthy there. But on a brighter note right here in college football, a ton has gone on. I mean, 2 weeks ago, you're looking at the college football playoff predictions landscape. I was dumb enough to put Clemson and Alabama there. Both of those teams have lost already, and a team like Notre Dame, like you like, is looking pretty good right now.
It's all right, Austin. We all make mistakes. My 4, they're still intact. I had Georgia, Michigan, and then I had USC at the 3, Notre Dame at the 4. I think that that's still a possibility. I like Georgia. They have a cakewalk of a schedule to close out their season. I think they can take that 1 spot. I'm kind of still debating if it's going to be USC or Washington to win the Pac-12. I'm not totally sold on that yet. So you're firmly
set on a Pac-12 team making the college football playoff?
I think this is going to be the year a Pac-12 team makes that college football playoff. I think it's going to be USC. Look, we've talked about how dominant the Pac-12 has been. USC's got some tough games coming up, but I think Caleb Williams finds a way to get it done.
He is really, really special. He is the real deal in college football. Should be the Heisman as well. Well, that's all the time we have for No Pulp this week. With Caleb Nice and the entire producing team, I'm Austin Barach. Thanks for watching. You can catch the entire show on YouTube at CitrusTV.